What's up, guys? We're down in the basement, and today we're going to talk a little bit about freezers, but we're going to talk about meat too. So let's start with the meat before we get to these guys. So there's a few things that we've been doing the past few years. Now, one of the things is getting meat locally. Good quality meat directly from farmers. Now, some people have local butchers, local this, local grocery store, whatever, but most of that stuff is coming from a complex supply chain. So when you have things like the COVID lockdowns, all kinds of things like that that affect the food supplies. And the other thing is, too, when you look at farms actually do some degree of regenerative agriculture where their inputs for fertilizer, things like that, are very minimal. That means that they are producing their own fertilizer uh, using rotational grazing, you doing pasture raised beef, pork, whatever the case may be. Um, some people even have fodder trees, things like that for the pigs, but I'm digressing here. Now let's get to the freezers because we got a whole pig here from a local farm near us. Now, this resulted in about 200 pounds of pork at a cost of about $5 a pound, which is really darn good. And this farm is cool because he also makes his own sausage. He makes his own maple pepper bacon. Oh, yeah. And it's real thick cut, too. But he also does all of his own processing. So that is also reducing the cost because he doesn't have to pay and therefore, put the cost onto someone like myself of paying for some butcher processor besides himself. He does it all, which is great. Now, when it comes to the freezers, this is something that I've found extremely beneficial is using these. You can find different size ones on Amazon. We found these. They fit perfect for a freezer. Yes, there is a little bit of overall cubic footage in the freezer that is wasted. But the alternative is having stuff just kind of piled up. You try to pile it, but it slips off. Things get buried. You got to dig in there and sort through stuff. Now, I know what is in each of these. If I want what's underneath, I just take out this tote and get to the tote that's underneath. These are exactly 3 high and they fit absolutely perfectly. I did not even plan that out. I did take rough measurements, but I was afraid that this wouldn't close. But it does, which is awesome. Now, here's another tip. So we've got a actual analog thermometer in here, but this baby's a lifesaver. This is from a company called Yolink. Now, these are Bluetooth and Wi-Fi temperature probes, and it also runs through an app. So at any time, I can open up the app. I can look at what the temperatures are running at. I can see with freezers, they cycle. They get colder, then they cycle a little warmer. They cycle a little colder. So these freezers will. They'll get up to about -3 and they'll get down to about -10. I can set an alarm for this, so my phone will go off if the temperature gets above 20 and if the temperature gets below -20. So you can really customize it, which is nice. And I can tell you, when I first got this freezer, we had an old 35-year-old Kenmore. They don't make them like they used to. These will be lucky if they last 10 years. But the 35-year-old Kenmore, that thing died the same week I got this new freezer, and I only knew about it because I set both of them up with probes. And I was at work, my wife was at home, and all of a sudden I get a notification that there was a huge temperature spike. It went from about 3 degrees to about 20 degrees within a couple hours. That's no good. Freezer died, but hey, we got 35 years out of it. But now the last thing I can show you is this thing here. Now, this is a smart plug, but it's not just any old smart plug that you'll find on Amazon. Well, technically it is, but I bought it as a product called GFI Notify. So the guy who made this system, he made a system to piggyback on these smart plugs. So basically, you use his system, you plug in you set this up through the normal system, and then you plug in his program. You just do it simply online, just put in a little bit of information, and you if the power goes out, you will get however you set it up. So I get a text, my wife gets a text, I get an email, and my wife gets an email if this thing loses power. The one downside is if the Wi-Fi, the internet goes out, but the power is still on, this is operated off internet, so it will be registered as a power outage. So just bear in mind, but nonetheless, it is a good warning system. Now, some people will argue about upright freezers versus chest freezers. Now, yeah, the upright freezers are way easier to organize. You know, think of a fridge. It's got shelves, and you can keep things nice and organized. In my opinion, you can't fit nearly as much in them. If you're strategic with your organization, I'll show you this one. We've got little slidey shelves. This isn't nearly as full as the other one, but we've got these same totes in here, and this also has the temperature probe. So if you're smart about your organization, it can work out really well. And the other thing is, if the power does go out, these will stay cold and frozen for up to, depends on the exact conditions and temperature and whatnot, but up to 48 to 72 hours fine without running a generator, provided that the freezers are pretty full, because all of that thermal frozen mass is just like one giant ice cube. So versus a upright freezer that will thaw really quick if the power goes out. So that's all I got for you. Some tips on freezers, deep freezers, chest freezers. I highly recommend seek out some local farmers, get some information, see if you can get some really good quality local, grass-fed meat. And oftentimes the price is not nearly as high as you think it would be. But yeah, that's it. Until next time. Wait, one more thing. This guy, you might be wondering what this is. This, if the power does go out, it's magnetic. I open that up. So, if the power goes out, I can still see what's happening. I can open this up, and unless I drop it, I can see what I'm doing. So, that's that. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.